Matthew 3:17, my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. Mark 1:11 and Luke 3:22 at the baptism of John. Matthew 3:17, Mark 1:11, Luke 3:22. So I say, did Dr. Damina say today is Jesus' birthday? Is that not what all of you say? I'm not saying today is Jesus' birthday. Neither am I saying today is not Jesus' birthday. I'm saying today has been set aside for Jesus. Let's study Jesus. Because you know some people, that's the only one they will cut. Dr. Damina confirms that Jesus was born December 25. No, sir. No, sir. Even the Jews know that Jesus was not born today. But you can mark something on a day. All right. So, Christmas is a heathen festival. Okay. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are taken from the hidden ceremonies. So you can as well scrape them or scrap them or refuse to observe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, since they are from the hidden, and create something else. But we use Monday, we use Tuesday. So why not? We can use December 25. We can use it. Amen. Now, when I say, this is my beloved son in whom I am well pleased, let's take it literal, normal grammar. I say, well, I am pleased. It means you have done something that makes me pleased. Or you have done something and I am satisfied. That's literal grammar. But look at that word, I am well pleased. Let's see where it is used and how it is used. Because we are looking at Christ being God. And if Christ pleases God, it's critical to understand what that will mean. The word pleased is the word eu. EU. In the Greek, it means well. Something is done well, or to speak well of. Then the word dokio, D-O-K-I-O, is used for an appearance, an action, a view. Let's see what it means. In whom I am well pleased. Matthew 12:18. Matthew 12:18. PJ, let's go. Let's do some reading.
Behold, my servant whom I have chosen, my beloved in whom my soul is well pleased. I will put my spirit upon him, and he shall show judgment to the Gentiles.
Luke 12:32. Luke chapter 12, verse 32.
Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom.
To give, your Father's good pleasure to give. Romans 15:26. Romans 15:26.
For it hath pleased them of Macedonia and Achaia to make a certain contribution for the poor saints which are at Jerusalem.
For it has pleased them. All right? Then let me jump to Matthew 17:5. Matthew 17:5.
While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him.
Now, it pleased them to make certain contributions. So far, the word please is used before an action. The word please, from what we read, is used before an action is taken. It's unlike after an action is done. My soul is pleased with him. I will put my spirit. It pleased them to make certain contributions. Look at 1 Corinthians 1:21. 1 Corinthians 1:21.
For after that, in the wisdom of God, the work by wisdom knew not God. It pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe.
It pleased God to use preaching to save. He has not saved, but it has already pleased him. So it's done. He is pleased before the action. Look at 1 Corinthians 10:5. Pay attention. 1 Corinthians 10:5.
But with many of them God was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness.
He was not well pleased. Then they were overthrown. So it's not because they were overthrown that he was not pleased. He was first of all not pleased. Then they were overthrown. Look at 2 Corinthians 12:10. 2 Corinthians 12:10. 2 Corinthians chapter 12 verse number 10.
Therefore I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then am I strong.
I take pleasure in infirmities. So I first take pleasure before the infirmities. I take pleasure before the persecution and trials. So it's not because I have persecution and trials I take pleasure. I already take pleasure before I even get into all of those circumstances. So it's an action. It is a disposition before an action. Okay? And that's why it says, when I besought the Lord said, my grace is sufficient for you. Then I take pleasure in persecution for Christ's sake. It's always before an action. Look at Galatians chapter 1 verse 15. Pay attention. Galatians 1:15.
But when it pleased God, who separated me from my mother's womb and called me by his grace.
It pleased God who separated me from my mother's womb and called me by his grace, next verse, to reveal his son in me. He has not revealed his son in me. I have not even preached him yet, but it's pleased him from my mother's womb before an action. Colossians 1:19. Colossians 1:19.
For it pleased the Father that in him should all fullness dwell.
It pleased the Father that in him should all fullness dwell. It pleased God first. Okay? Somebody on social media, Facebook said, too many Bible reading, not making sense. How can it make sense when you have a poor mind, very poor mind? How can it make sense? You're so lazy, very lazy. And that's why false prophets have been using you for breakfast. You're too lazy for victory. Too lazy. Very, very lazy. Merry Christmas. Amen. Slow of heart to believe all. It has to be all that the prophets have spoken. Otherwise, it's not Bible teaching. If this man was in Jesus' church, he will abuse Jesus. This kind of man. Because Jesus, beginning at Moses and all the prophets, I can tell this man is a member of a false prophet church where they only gave them prophecy. So for the first time he has come into proper church. Say, Kai, too much Bible reading. He was waiting for me to say, I see. Your mother is the one sitting on your head. Deep, go deeper. Open Bible, let's read John. Colossians 1:19. EJ, let's go. Colossians 1:19.
For it pleased the Father that in him should all fullness dwell.
It pleased the Father that in him should all fullness. So observe the word pleased is before the fullness dwelling. Look at 1 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 8. 1 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 8.
So being affectionately desirous of you, we were willing to have imparted unto you Not the gospel of God only, but also our own souls, because you were dear unto us.
We were willing to impart. Okay? We were willing to impart not just the gospel, but our souls. Look at 1 Thessalonians chapter 3, verse 1.